And now I find myself in an impossible position.
All hail King Aegon!
Welcome back to our channel. We hope you're doing well today because it's time for another marvelous video. Season 2 of House of the Dragon has definitely been a highlight of the month, and continuing with the trend today, we're going to take a look at Viserys and Alicent's fourth child who hasn't shown up in the show as of yet, Daeron Targaryen. Despite his absence from the show, those familiar with the source material, Fire and Blood, know that Daeron plays a crucial role in the upcoming civil war, so it's only a matter of time before he shows up. For those who have no idea what we're talking about, well, that's why we're here, right? It's time to find out exactly who Daeron Targaryen is and what his story's all about. Buckle up, guys. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Daeron Targaryen? In House of the Dragon Season 1, we see Alicent Hightower getting married to King Viserys, the father of Rhaenyra Targaryen. They had 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. We're familiar with most of them: Prince Aegon Targaryen, Prince Aemond One-Eye Targaryen, and Princess Helaena Targaryen, who was also a wife to her brother Aegon. However, their youngest son, Daeron Targaryen, is surprisingly missing. While it's true that Daeron doesn't appear until later in the war, according to Fire and Blood, he does have a brief childhood story that's mentioned in the same. Daeron was born in the latter half of 114 AC, shortly after Rhaenyra's first son, Prince Viserys Velaryon. Concerned by the hostility between the children's 2 mothers, King Viserys sought to forge a better link between his eldest grandson and his youngest son. He planned for the 2 youngsters to share a wet nurse until they were weaned, expecting that being milk brothers would avoid future conflict. However, it was to no avail. Daeron, as he grew older, proved to be another sharp thorn in Jacaerys' side, as well as those of his younger brothers Lucerys and Joffrey. Even when forced to join one another at feasts or weapons training or studying with their maester, their relationship remained sour. In fact, it made it worse. Daeron had the typical features of the blood of the dragon. He was a handsome boy, the most popular of the 3 sons. Known for his courtesy and intelligence, he was often described as the gentlest of his brothers. Growing up in the shadow of his brothers, Daeron became more accustomed to following orders rather than giving them. At age 6, he had his own dragon, Tessarion, but had yet to ride her. Tessarion would eventually gain the moniker the Blue Queen. Daeron was sent to Oldtown at the age of 12 in 126 AC to serve as a squire and cupbearer for his mother Alicent's cousin, Lord Ormond Hightower.
Should never have trifled with.
Why is he missing from House of the Dragon? The big man himself, George R.R. Martin, addressed Daeron's absence in a blog post directly. He said, "As of now, Daeron is down in Oldtown. The makers didn't have time to show him in the first season. Given that Season 1 essentially acts as a precursor to the Dance of the Dragons, removing Daeron is reasonable. His presence as a kid is less significant because his elder siblings in the series already express hostility towards his Valyrian nephews. Moreover, Daeron does not greatly impact the political split between Rhaenyra and Alicent like Aegon and Aemond do. Helaena also plays a crucial role in the sense that she participates in efforts to mediate a settlement between the 2 families. Since all the angles were being covered, the creators possibly didn't see Daeron adding any further value to the story. Nevertheless, it is astonishing that a 4th child born to Alicent and Viserys wasn't even mentioned in passing. It would have been advantageous to name Daeron early on if indeed he would be introduced later. From the absence of such a reference, it's unclear if Daeron is ever intended to be a part of the series. But then, what do Marty's blog posts mean? Daeron is regarded favorably for giving subtlety to the Greens, who now only have Helaena as a sympathetic figure. He may provide a counterpoint to the corruption perpetuated by Aegon and Aemond. Personally, I feel they are protecting his character so they can use him as an important role in the upcoming fight. If he appears this season, he will most likely be in a supporting position with Aemond and Aegon. Let's hope he isn't disregarded like Rickon Stark. Remember Rickon Stark? Don't worry, neither do we. What happens to him in Dance of the Dragons? The civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons began in 129 AC, following the death of Daeron's father, King Viserys Targaryen, when Daeron's elder brother, Aegon II, claimed the Iron Throne despite their half-sister, Rhaenyra Targaryen's status as the proclaimed successor. Daeron was in Oldtown during this time, like we mentioned before, and he was working as a squire for Lord Ormond Hightower. Daeron was a part of Lord Ormond Hightower's army, which marched from Oldtown. In the Battle of the Honeywine, Ormond was on the verge of defeat when Daron came on his dragon, Targaryen, and rescued his mother's cousin and the army. In honor of Daeron's valor, Ormond arranged a feast for him, knighted him with the Valyrian sword called Vigilance, and gave him the title of Daron the Daring. As King Aegon was badly injured in the conflict at Rook's Rest, Aemon Targaryen took charge. He considered his uncle, Prince Daemon Targaryen, Rhaenyra's spouse, as the most serious threat to their dominion, and he resolved to personally destroy him in combat. Aemon did not seek Daeron's help when attempting to reclaim Harrenhal from Daemon because he thought Daeron was too young. After Rhaenyra took control of King's Landing, Daeron emerged as the most serious danger to her reign. He stayed with Lord Ormond's army and scouted ahead with his dragon Targaryen. To avoid facing Daeron and Targaryen, House Rowan, the Shield Islands, and House Oakheart surrendered to the Greens. Following the murder of his nephew, Prince Maelor Targaryen, at Bitterbridge, Daeron gave Lady Caswell no compassion. During the Siege of Bitterbridge, he ordered Targaryen to engulf the town in flames. After that, the war intensified. Ulf White and Hugh Hammer were sent to Tumbleton to protect the town against Daron, but during the First Battle of Tumbleton, the two betrayers switched sides and joined the Greens. After Ormond died in combat, numerous lords challenged the command of the Greens' armies. Daeron demanded Sir Hobart Hightower to stop the cruel sack of Tumbleton, but Hobart was useless. Although Daeron placed Ulf as the Lord of Bitterbridge, the two betrayers obviously did not want to join Daeron in an assault on King's Landing until their demands were granted. Following the disappearance of Aegon after the fall of King's Landing and the death of Aemond in the battle above the God's Eye with Daemon, Prince Daeron was considered to be the leading candidate to succeed the Iron Throne. When Lord Unwin Peake arrived, he immediately insisted that Daeron be given the title of Prince of Dragonstone. Others, believing Aegon to be dead, insisted that Daeron be crowned king. When Hugh Hammer reluctantly declared himself king, Daeron reacted by throwing wine in his face, and Hugh was seen wearing an iron crown. Insulted by the betrayer's brazenness, the Lords and Knights of the Reach, later known as the Caltrops, began plotting against them, but members of the Caltrops were unwilling to take action against Daeron without his formal blessing and permission, which the prince quickly provided. As a Dragonseed, Hugh offered Daeron no great danger, but he did have the benefit of riding Vermithor, a much larger and war-experienced dragon than Targaryen. 2 days later, when the Caltrops formulated their plan to kill Hugh and Ulf, they came across the dragon called Seasmoke and his new rider, Adam Valerion, who arrived with 4,000 men to boost the Black's forces. The Black's success in the subsequent fight was primarily ascribed to Daeron's death. The manner of Daeron's death is a complete mystery in Westerosi tradition, since he left no body behind. Some say his death was at the hands of a Myrish sellsword called Black Trombo, while others tell how he was slain by a man-at-arms who didn't even know who he was. The account by Munkin and Glydane, which most historians accept, holds that Daeron died after his burning tent collapsed on top of him. How very unheroic, which, if you think about it, probably makes it the truth. Taking advantage of the uncertainty surrounding his passing, several imposters emerged claiming to be Daeron throughout King Aegon III's reign. Maester Yandel, however, maintains that careful examinations have conclusively refuted these assertions and established their falsity.
The Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne.
Marvelous verdict! I'm afraid that's all we got for you this time, folks. Daeron's critical role in the final stages of the war suggests he could have a surprise appearance in the TV series as well, but the character's roots could be different from those in the novel. George Martin's blog post solidifies the likeliness of this arrival. The only problem with that is that Season 1 doesn't mention him at all, meaning his role has a high chance of being altered or given to an altogether different character, which would be a huge disappointment for the fans. Gotta say, we hope we're wrong. What about you? Do you want to see Daeron and Targaryen in all their glory? Let us know in the comments below what you think is going to happen to the character in the House of the Dragon. Are they going to show up or not? And if you liked this video, remember to hit the like button, and if you loved it, share it with all your friends. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.